95. Hey guys, Branwen 95 recording live from your local county prison cell. Yeah, I have been in a habit of working, drinking, sleeping, in the last couple of weeks. So that's where I've been. However, that is very thematically fitting for one of these characters. But yeah, this is just one I've had on the back burner for a minute. Haven't really had a good chance to do it. So here we are. This is Qrow from Ruby, Qrow Branwen specifically. Is it Branwen or Branwen? I don't know. Versus Train Heartnet from Black Cat. Yeah. So the two omens of bad luck. But I mean, there's a little bit of a connection between them aside from just the bad luck, symbolism here. Qrow left. Qrow gave up from teaching and gave up. Left the Branwen tribe and everything. To become his own. Well, technically, he became a hunter to make his tribe, like, to better serve his tribe, and then he left his tribe. And, and Train left, what the hell is the Assassin's Organization? He left the Assassin's Organization. I don't know what it was called. I forget what it was called. It's been a while. One thing I do want to point out about this is that, this, at one point in time, I remember when Black Cat, I think it was like before the anime, my mask is getting in the way there. I think it was before the anime, I remember the manga being a big deal. Like, everyone thought, like, that was one of, like, the reasons people were buying Shonen Jump for, like, a while. Like, I remember the manga for Black Cat being huge. And then the anime came out, and I think people just didn't care at that point. Like, it really was, like, a big deal. It was a big fandom for a minute, and then, I mean, I wouldn't say it was, like, one of the big three or anything. Actually, I don't even think the big three were in the big three at that point. I think Dragon Ball Z was huge, and then Naruto, came out, and everyone was like, oh, Naruto stole from Dragon Ball Z, and then One Piece came out, and people said, what the hell is this? And I don't even know if Bleach had come out yet, and people were like, I don't know what's going on. But, yeah, like, I remember Black Cat being, like, a big deal. People really liked it, and then it just dropped off the face of the earth. So, this shouldn't be an obscure character, I guess, by rights, and to some people it probably isn't, but, now, I guess nowadays it would be considered a very obscure character. Anyway. Yeah, so let's go over Qrow first. So, Qrow is, as I said, he's, a member of the Branwen tribe. He's Raven's brother. And he's, so he's Ruby's uncle. I just realized that's, my mask is blocking me again. So he, yeah, he's the one who actually trained Ruby more so than Tai Yang did, and he is kind of like the lone wolf grifter kind of character, mainly because of his not great relationship with his family, apparently, and B, because of his semblance, which is bad luck. Not his own bad luck, so to speak, though that is kind of implied that he also has, like, he generally has bad luck. But basically it's a kind of innate semblance. It's not something he activates or turns on and off. It's just he generally gives bad luck. Bad luck just kind of follows him. And in his mind, or in his it's kind of like people around him will have bad luck, or bad luck again. Bad luck just happens around him. He, as a result, you could argue, kind of by default has it, but like. Yeah, so for example, like he explained that it's like it's really handy in a fight, but it makes it hard to like have anyone close to you. So he, you know, if he's in a fight with somebody, the person he's fighting is gonna experience bad luck. And just a little offshoot conversation here. Bad luck as a power or luck as a power, like any luck manipulation power set, is basically reality manipulation, just something you don't have direct control over. Because without getting too technical here, like quantumly, luck is not like an observable force, right? Luck is a concept of things happen, you know what I mean? Of how the way events proceed affect one person or another. Luck is like a perspective, right? So like you can't really manipulate luck, so to speak. Also, because cause and effect are a thing, so like you can't really manipulate luck without by default just manipulating reality. Like you can't make something that's going to happen not happen, so to speak. It's just, you know what I mean? It's basically a form of reality manipulation when you think about it. Anyway, but yeah, weapons wise, Qrow has a sword that turns into a scythe. The sword is also a gun. The scythe, as far as I know, is not a gun. And it's like a giant ass like buster sword. It's this huge sword that he uses. I thought he was gonna have. I didn't think he was gonna have a giant scythe like Ruby, but I thought he'd have like mini scythes or something. But yeah, and he's as adept, if not more adept, with the scythe than Ruby is. So he's, but it doesn't have all of the it doesn't have like the sniper rifle and the bolt, and the recoil stuff that she can do with hers. He's just using it organically, and like I said, the sword also is a gun as far as I know. But he is an incredibly adept fighter. I mean, even Winter was like, he was just kind of toying with her and he was drunk. Hey, man. But yeah, so very skilled fighter. And then obviously, as is pretty standard with Ruby characters, he has, aura, so he has the ability to stave off lethal damage, things like that. So, but it can be worn out, and it does take a physical toll on him when it gets worn out. So, yeah. Now on to Train. Train is kind of like the John Wick, like an anime John Wick. He was like the number one assassin, of a, criminal organization of assassins who use, what are they called? Like it's not the Cerberus, or was it the Ouroboros or something like that? Cerberus is a group of 3 guys within the organization, but I think it's Ouroboros. I think that's what they're called. I don't know. Somebody can correct me. Again, this used to be like the biggest. I remember this being a really big deal when it came out, and now like, but yeah, he was one of the, lead people in that organization before he defected. Basically because of a girl. By the way, this is a world where like there's a lot of bounty hunters and a lot of assassins. in general, like even outside of his organization. So like everybody's kind of an assassin or a bounty hunter. Actually, I think it's the bounty hunter because I think that yeah, he left the assassins organization to become a bounty hunter. I remember that being a big deal that he he hunts bounties, and that's how they get paid. But yeah, he was one of the top level, and he left because there was a girl, and they wanted to, and the organization tried to kill that girl, and I believe succeeded. So yeah, now he walks around with his buddies, and it's kind of like a Trigun situation. He walks around with his buddies and collects bounties and whatnot, and has like a newfound friendship. He is incredibly, unrealistically good a marksman. He is Deadshot, bullseye. Like, he has shot bullets out of the air. He has shot bullets into the barrels of other guns to destroy them. He has shot he's hit targets from like hundreds of yards away. He's he's just, like I said, an insane marksman. This is equally augmented by his number 13 pistol. See, each of the organizations every assassin in the organization gets assigned a number, and they get a weapon made out of a substance known as orichalcum, which is just a super advanced and nigh indestructible metal that makes their and that like supercharges their weapon, right? He was given a pistol, like I said, the number 13 pistol, because it works on a scale of like number 1's the weakest, and then the higher you go, and he was the highest at number 13, which gave him the nickname Black Cat. He would, wherever he goes, bad luck follows. Yeah, like he would be bad luck for those he was hunting. So this gun is basically bulletproof. Bullets don't even scratch it. The firing like capacity. Now, I believe it uses regular bullets. I don't think the bullets are also orichalcum, because otherwise it would be impossible to reload. And yeah, but again, because the weapon is kind of supercharged, even though he's using a regular caliber bullet, like the firing capacity is just super amazing on this gun. That's not how guns work, but still. So he just, he's able to like fire things at basically terminal velocity, and so he's shot through walls, he's shot down, I'm pretty sure he's like didn't he shoot down an aircraft at some point? Like, yeah, he's done insane shit. I might be wrong about that. I might be misremembering that, but yeah, so his weapon's basically supercharged. Yeah, and then he also has another ability, which is like a kind of a last resort, where he can kind of, I think it's either it's some sort of like inner energy, or it's some sort of like energy inherent to the weapon itself, which is right, where he can basically overload his weapon and shoot kind of like a rail gun, which is, just like a giant beam attack. Problem is, when he does this, it does kind of override the indestructible nature of the gun and destroy it from within. And I think actually, if he uses it at full power, it just like the gun just like crumbles pretty much. So it is like a last resort effort, and I think he used it basically when he decided to stop being a bounty hunter or an assassin, and he just said like, I'm giving, it was symbolically him getting rid of his weapon and leaving that life behind to get rid of, it was him officially leaving his past behind by destroying the remnants of it that up until that point he had been still hanging on to by using. And his he's, you know, like I said, a tremendous assassin because of this. Going into this fight, I mean, on one hand, right? On one hand, Qrow seems like, oh, how could he lose, right? Like, he's got basically reality manipulation, not something that he can control, but like the odds of probability are just in his favor generally, or more pushed into his favor. It's not that he can't lose, it's just like he always, you know, fortune by default smiles upon him in a fight because it frowns against his opponents. You know, he's got the aura, which protects him from like what would be lethal shots. He, you know, he's got like he's got a gun as well, so he can fight both up close and, you know, at a distance. But when you look at it, somebody with Train's like accuracy and a gun, you know, you can't discount them, right? Basically, it's what I would call, I might have brought this up before, it's what they call a boxer's or a puncher's chance, I believe, where despite likelihood, and I know Death Battle doesn't operate under this sense, but like despite likelihood, if you have two boxers and one of them is like the world champion, like best trained, most knowledgeable, like best conditioned boxer, and then another one is just like some guy, but he can hit hard enough to knock somebody out. That guy who is way worse, way less conditioned, way less knowledgeable, always has a chance to win the fight just because he is capable of, you know, all it takes is one lucky punch, right? So, like, there's always a chance Train could win. Death Battle doesn't operate, they go by who is the most like, you know, who would win the most out of, you know, more often than not. Now, that becomes kind of murky when you when you put luck into the equation. Because Qrow is always going to have like the ability, like he's always going to have an advantage just based off of his ability to his luck manipulation. Train doesn't, as far as I know, Train, as far as I know, doesn't actually have luck manipulation. He actually just is lucky, and you know his Black Cat persona is more symbolic than anything else. But yeah, with Qrow's aura being able to protect him from bullets and everything, like I said, he probably has it. Again, it's kind of shitty. Aura has like the stand problem in JoJo's, which I know I've mentioned a lot of times, where it's like when you have two similar characters and one of them has aura and the other, you know, and one's a Ruby character and one of them has aura and the other one doesn't have some equally broken thing that can compete with aura, some way to bypass aura, or is just so overpowered, or is just so much like better attributed than the Ruby character that it doesn't matter, right? Then it's just an auto win for the aura person, because it's just like you can't it's a disadvantage that you can't overcome. It's similar to any character with a stand. Like, I could put a JoJo's character against anybody, and if they don't have a way to interact with the stand, if they're not just so much stronger than the JoJo's character that the stand doesn't matter, or if they don't have something similar to a stand, this JoJo's character wins. So, once again, kind of broken Ruby character fight. And Train is super skilled. Don't get me wrong. Train is super skilled, and I believe he could kill Qrow with the rail cannon, but I think it's the luck semblance, or the bad luck for his opponent's semblance, that kind of prevents that. Also, Train only gets one attempt at that. So it's the fact that he only gets one shot to definitely kill the guy, and he has to fight against the odds of probability. Yeah, I think Qrow wins. But anyway, glad I was able to do this. Hopefully it won't take as long as the next one. I know I say that every time, and I know I say that every time, but is what it is. Purple 95. See ya.